Quick question, Daniel. Could 100 men take down one gorilla in a fight to the death?
Should I answer
Don't
now?
answer now. We'll give you a couple seconds to think. You're watching the Benchwarmers. All right, what do you think?
Questions that need answers? No.
Yes, thank you.
Because who's going to, all right, so the first 10 guys that run up on the gorilla are going to get mauled, and then the next 90 are going to be
Who's
like, hey,
hanging in there?
let's not do that.
Yes.
If you, all 100 at once fall on top of the gorilla, even then, the gorilla's going to be like, all right, I'm going to rip your heads off, and now you're dead.
That was the topic on Twitter outside of the draft this weekend was that. So there's been a lot of that around. So we wanted to I wanted to bring it up because I think it's insane that this is a debate. Like they're acting as if the other 90 people would not be absolutely terrified by the actions of the gorilla in the first wave of attackers.
Alex,
no chance.
There's a growing part of the population that thinks the world is flat, so stupid and idiocy is very prevalent in this day and age. So to think that 100 humans, 1,000 humans could take one gorilla, I mean, unless you have a firearm, that's about it.
Yeah.
But man-to-man strength, no.
So this is the Benchwarmers, where we talk about all gorilla-human combat sports and everything else. I'm Alex. He's Daniel. Mm-hmm. Interesting week for sports, obviously, with the NFL draft, and now it's draft grade season, and those are always right.
Yeah, I don't believe any draft grades are valid in this time of year. They become valid 5 years from now. Right. Because most of those rookie contracts are 4 to 5 years. If the player that you drafted is not on the team by that second contract, I would say that draft pick has probably failed.
It's not good.
So it's really a 3 to 5 year window, honestly, I think, just because, some contracts are shorter and longer and, other circumstances can come into play. But, we'll know 5 years from now if anybody was right. Or maybe the next year you get a Jaden Daniels from last year. Right. I would think the Washington Redskins got an A. From last year's, the Washington Commanders. Hey, it happens. It's the NFL. I know they just got the RFK Stadium deal situated in D.C., so a nice tangent there to say that we know nothing. Even draft scouts and front offices know nothing because they put their eggs in one basket, and sometimes all the eggs break. The
Shedeur Sanders basket. And I said all of that to say the Saints were terrible. My draft grade, F. The Saints.
Basically, I'm going to invalidate myself, with my next point. Did not like the Tyler Shuck pick as a, I don't know anything about, draft quarterbacks and
it hurts.
Draft analysis and in the interview room and everything that kind of goes into making a pick. But an off-injured 25-year-old.
26-year-old.
He turns 26 in September, right?
Yes.
I think, So
by the time,
okay. So, not ideal. You want the flash and the flashy pick.
Did you see the combine throw that he had?
I saw a highlight reel of some of his best throws in college where he just flips it up, interception, another pick six from 5 yards out from the end zone. So not high on Tyler Shuck. But the obvious point I think we're getting to is why didn't we, as a Saints organization and Saints fans, we can say we as Saints fans. Didn't draft Shedeur Sanders. Who knows? Shedeur Sanders is going to have a chip on his shoulder, 5th round draft pick for the Cleveland Browns. And whether you want to believe there was a giant conspiracy theory of keeping him from becoming this pick, but it all comes down to, do teams think you're going to help them win?
Exactly.
They will overlook a litany of issues, and if they think you're going to help them win, they will. Where other factors contributing to this, was he too confident and his abilities didn't match that confidence? Right. You're drafting Shedeur Sanders, but you're also drafting Deion Sanders. I don't care what Coach Prime says about how he's going to let his son be himself. Even if it's not a direct involvement, you are also getting that. He's going to say something, and you're getting that as well. So maybe teams didn't want to deal with that. But the Saints, Tyler Shuck. All right, do I want this pick to work out? Of course. Do I want the Saints to have the greatest gem ever and nobody believed it? Yeah, that would be awesome to work out. But in my immediate first reaction thoughts, not a fan of the pick. But the dog was awesome.
Now that was where I was going next.
Yes.
If we're drafting on the dog, A+.
A+
Oh
reaction.
my gosh, he's jumping up, getting the hugs with the people.
Yeah.
Love that.
The wife, girl dog, by the way,
Yeah.
And then the wife or girlfriend, I would think wife at this point.
Yeah, 25.
Hopefully. Sometimes the draft day
college for a
significant other sometimes has to work on the long run. But I hope that works out. Yeah. She had a great reaction. She was yes! Like she did the full fist pump. So
if we could have drafted the whole room and not him, that would have been better. But no, the dog was fantastic. Shout out to Mel Kiper. I mean, just standing on your take.
Yeah.
To the end.
Yeah.
My goodness. I mean, to the point when, was it Reese Davis that was like, hey, take it easy, man?
Yeah.
Like when Reese Davis is stepping in, you maybe have gone like a tad too far. But shout out to Mel because that, at least that made the last days very entertaining.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I wasn't really able to watch Mel Kiper go hard in
I was
the paint
dialed in
because I was, kind of following it through Twitter and everything else. And I actually had it on the ABC feed, which was the college guys, and they would bring Mel. Mel was on the ESPN feed. So I know that Mel Kiper had Shedeur Sanders high on his draft board, and then stuck with that. And we will see, 3, 4, 5 years from now whether that works out because Joe Flacco's on that Browns roster, and they drafted Dylan Gabriel as well.
Yeah, ahead of Sanders.
So it's like,
and then
what are the Browns
they also
doing?
have Deshaun Watson too. Like
that
he is
whole
on the
situation.
roster.
The Browns have, and they drafted Johnny Manziel, that guy.
Yeah.
And that whole thing. So Browns have not had a great track record in the quarterback situation, but we'll see what happens.
And then, of course, when it comes to Shedeur, you had the prank call. If our listeners aren't familiar, the Falcons defensive coordinator's son got Shedeur's number. That was a number that Shedeur only had for the draft.
Yeah.
Called him, acted like he was Mickey Loomis, said they were picking him. Obviously, it was false. That is just wrong. And you had a good solution, I think, to this problem.
Yes, I think he should be banned for life. You were in a position of trust. You abused it. I don't want to hear, banned for 3, 4, 5. No, you. Yeah. I'm a little bit of Hammurabi's code on some punishments sometimes.
Right.
But you should be banned for life.
Yeah.
You took a moment. You got a player's hopes up, a young man's hopes up that he was going to get drafted, and that's not funny. And you know what? You should not have access to an NFL facility.
Yeah, like there's
ever.
Nothing about that that's funny. Yeah. Because obviously these are some terrible days for Shedeur.
Yeah.
I mean, and whatever
you feel about him, like that's not.
Yeah,
that's
it's
not right.
wrong. It's wrong.
Right.
Like he's at work,
and it's happened to other players over the years.
And that's why Shedeur had the number to avoid that. But it still happens. Right. Cowboys. I mean, what they got. I felt like solid. It was boring in a good way.
Focused up front. Needed that. Got a good running back. Right. Jaden Blue out of Texas. So you got the home state connection there. And I don't know if we want to get to how correct you were in the first 12 picks. How wrong I was in the first 12 picks.
Look, if you need somebody to pick your first 7 draft picks in an NFL draft minus trades, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Because I was dead on 7 for 7, and then the Panthers. That's when things started to go awry.
Yeah, mine don't really count. Like Cam Ward, number 1, like that was obvious. Everybody knew that. I had 2 out of the 12 right, so do not come to me. I had Shedeur Sanders going to the Cowboys just because I wanted absolute insanity, just from a viewer standpoint. But hey, Alex Anderson is the draft king.
Yes,
and the fantasy football king as well. So.
I know football.
Yeah.
I know ball. I know hockey. I know football.
Yeah.
And then everything else is not great. Obviously, the local kids, great. I think Landon Jackson, our guest last week to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Personally, if it's not the Saints, I have an affinity for Buffalo.
Yeah.
They've treated Tre'Davious so well. Tre'Davious is back in Buffalo, and I think that that's a great person. Not from the same city, but from the same area. For Landon to get to know, and I'm sure Tre'Davious is going to be super helpful.
And his reaction, the secret audio that doesn't become secret because they posted on social media of him having a very emotional moment, which is awesome. Yeah. He overcome with emotion, getting drafted by the Buffalo Bills, and then Nick Martin as well. Yep. Savion Williams, another. East Texas kid getting drafted. And then, it was also just seeing Cam Jackson from Haynesville also getting drafted. A lot of great kids getting selected to the NFL, and love to see it.
We've had a show for, 4 weeks now, and we got 2 guests into the draft already. I'd say if you want to go to Shedeur didn't come on the Benchwarmers.
That was the problem.
That was it.
He didn't have a high enough profile. He just needed the Benchwarmers.
Yeah, you come on the Benchwarmers. Your name is called, and Cam was before Shedeur? I can't remember.
Cam was before Shedeur in the 5th round. Yeah. So
easy as that. Yeah. We solved all the world's problems. One team that hasn't needed us for success is LSUS.
The LSUS Pilots are undefeated, and it was crazy to think about this halfway through the season when they're 23-0. Oh, this is great. They get to 30-something. Oh, that's like, all right, this might be a possibility. And then they complete the deal, sweeping Jarvis Christian 47-0. For those that don't know, an NAIA four-year institution, you can go up to Division III, 2-1. No other team that's a four-year institution has a winning streak as long as the LSUS Pilots. They're heading into conference tournament play this week. We're recording this on Monday. They play Thursday. I have the opportunity to talk with head coach Brad Neffendorf about what the Pilots were able to do over this entire regular season. I spoke to him Sunday, so if you hear a couple of days mixed up there, just kind of factor that in. But head coach Brad Neffendorf of the LSUS Pilots on what it meant to break that record and finish the regular season undefeated.
It didn't really, it hasn't hit me, and I would say the reason it hasn't hit me is because our guys have done a really good job. I think we have, as a program this year, is, we applaud what needs to be applauded. They soak it in and they enjoy it, but at the same time, they do a really good job of not overly celebrating stuff, because they've got one thing on their mind, and it's been the one thing on their mind since they got here, and that's getting back to Lewiston for the World Series and having a chance to compete for it. Personally, nothing really set in for me until the last pitch yesterday. I for some reason knew that, with who we had on the mound and what the count was, we were going to put him away, and ended on a strikeout. And honestly, the last strikeout was kind of just in slow motion, and it got me a little bit. And I'm not an emotional guy. It's not that I got emotional, but just to where I felt it a little bit, just because I was just like, you got to be kidding me. And I just put my head down. I was like, we really just finished a regular season 47-0. And it's something, obviously, like we told the guys, nobody's ever going to be able to take it away from them. Obviously, for me personally, and we don't, like I've told you before, we don't stress wins around here. We don't make it life or death. We do a good job of kind of keeping it consistent, and especially our guys on a daily basis with how we go about things. But, you really want to see them just continue to keep getting better and whatnot, because one thing that I believe would put a stamp on it for, how it is, man, if we didn't make it back or whatnot, I think people would find a way to take what they've done away from them verbally, which, we don't have to worry about what people say. But it is. I mean, they have done things this year that nobody's ever going to be able to take away from them. And I think the thing that has glared to me so much about it is, not that I care. Nobody knows who I am. And that's fine. I think it's great. Right? Everywhere I go now, hey, Shreveport baseball. And I saw the senator repost something today. I saw, people in the grocery store that bring it up. We were somewhere in Texas. It's, that's the team that, is doing this and doing that. It was on a road trip on the way home. And for me personally, I think it's huge for this department in all of athletics, because that's our job as teams over here. Just, find a way, all of us, to keep it going forward and get this whole place better. And I think our guys have put a stamp on how successful this athletic department has been this year. But I think it also, for me, it brings some positivity within athletics in this town, to where, when I tell you people that I wouldn't even know knew that we had a team here, people at the Air Force Base, that's all we're talking about. And, people just it's been great. That's because what our guys have done.
And bringing it back to your players, how they've remained laser focused, maybe not have celebrated as much. The credit goes to them. They're going out there and handling the pressure game after game and being able to get it done. You've mentioned in the past the experience that they have, all the factors that kind of culminate in what they've been able to do this season. What have they done to just make this so special for you and themselves?
Just staying consistent. It's honestly impressive. I'll tell you what's more impressive than what they've done at 47-0 is how they've done it. And that's being consistent with routine and who they are and what we do on a daily basis. We have not had to have too many reminders this year in regards to, them kind of going off in a different distance from what we've been doing, whether that's in practice, the weight room, group work, early work, team practice, whatever it is, games. We got our reminders here and there where maybe, game-wise, we didn't go as hard as what we normally do or whatnot, and they're pretty good about understanding and agreeing and then flipping the script the next day. Honestly, we would not be, obviously, like, coaches get all the credit. We would be nowhere where we are with what we've done if it wasn't for, I mean, these guys control it all. And I don't mean that as in they control how we play. They do, like, but they've controlled it with who they are in that locker room, who they are as a team out here. You know, how they break it out every day. It's the same thing every day. They remind each other about what they're trying to do. And, you know, I'll put a stamp on it with yesterday. They were really loud in the dugout with 1 pitch to go, or that 2-strike count, you know. And then right when we got it, it wasn't like some celebration. And, you know, there's a lot of teams that would do that, teams that are celebrating conference titles right now and doing all that. And they deserve to do that. But I think that's why we are where we are, because they're not overly doing anything. They're just staying consistent and working each day to continue to keep getting better and hopefully having a chance to, you know, host a regional, which I believe we will, host it as a 1 seed, which I believe we will, and have a chance to win that regional, which I highly believe we have a chance to do that and then get back. And if we do, we'll have a chance to compete for a national title.
And bringing you back to that final out from yesterday, as you're, go from 27 outs down to that final one, what's going through your head as that moment's building up, or did it finally hit you in the sense of getting emotional when it's down to that final out?
Yeah, like I said a little bit ago, it didn't at all until that last pitch. For some reason, I think it was like a 1-2 count. Called a slider, certain location that we have. I knew he was going to execute it just based on, and then right when like legs lifting up, he's getting ready to get the ball to the glove and go. Like I said, it kind of went in slow motion where you saw it come out and you saw the swing taking place before the ball was even out of the hand. And you're just kind of like, holy smokes, like these guys just literally went 47-0. And you get a little emotional because you know that's the last regular season a lot of these guys are going to play. You know, now we're going into a different type of season, which that's postseason. You know, the crappy thing about this, which gets you the most, and it's the hard part of coaching, is, you know, we've got 37 guys on this roster, and this level has a 26-man postseason roster. So we already had a few that, you know, with some of the way our rules work, that we were able to play them a little bit this year, but it didn't burn a year for them, that already knew, you know, and they've done everything right and showed up and got after every day that, you know, so we're down to, let's say, about 34 now. We got to go tell 7 guys that they're not going to be on the postseason roster. Now we'll still take them with us. They can't dress down. They can't be in the dugout. Like, it's a crappy deal. And ultimately, people tell you it's life. That's the way it is. I agree with it. But in reality, I think it's a crappy rule. I think it's ridiculous because we've had guys that have put in work and have not bitched or complained one time with the limited amount of time that they've got because of other guys in front of them. And, you know, now the worst part about it is, they'll go with us. They'll be with us here, but they can't be in the dugout. We'll get them as close to the dugout as we can. But I will tell you how they've handled it for the ones that we've told so far. Have done a really good job. But that's the thing that gets you the most is all the success that these guys have had together. They're going to be together, but it's going to be a different type of together because of what we're allowed in that dugout starting this Thursday. So that got me a little bit too. And it gets you every time you got to tell guys, even some seniors, that, you know, this is where we're at right now. Now, the good thing is that postseason roster can change each postseason if you keep making it, but a lot of different things go through your head. Regardless of what we do going forward, unbelievable accomplishment. There was so many different records that these guys broke this year that people don't even know about, but they don't talk about it in here. And I think that's why we have a continued realistic ability to go out and continue to keep doing what we've been doing.
So appreciate Coach Neffendorf chatting with me Sunday, and they start conference tournament play Thursday. They're might have imagined LSUS will be the number 1 seed for the conference tournament. They start play against Houston, Tilliston, and Sterlington is where they will hold that conference tournament. And I almost forget that they have to pare down roster sizes. It's done in the major leagues. Yeah. It's done in a lot of college as well. They can only take a certain amount of players up to Omaha and things like that in terms of players that can dress. And then down here in the NAIA ranks as well. So tough for those players that aren't able to actually be on the field and in the dugout. Yeah. But they put in the work, they put in the experience, and then the players that are going to take the field, a lot of work for them, and hoping that the pilots can go ahead and seal the deal and get the job done.
And, you know, this isn't something like, and no disrespect intended here, but it's not something like the Shreveport Mavericks, right? Who were in like whatever the heck league you want to call it at any time, and they won all these games in a row. Well, look, I'm literally at some of these games. They played the same team back-to-back nights. The roster of the opposing team was completely different, and it was literally dudes from here. They're like, hey, you want to come hoop? Yeah. And lose.
No, this is like you've been recruited here,
right?
you're playing here,
they're playing
you
as
put your time
real
here.
colleges.
Yeah.
This is not like a charity thing. 47-0 in any baseball season of competitive play is insane.
Yeah.
To not lose a game of baseball. It's the flukiest game in the world, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it could be, your arm doesn't have it.
Yeah.
The other team's bats are going crazy,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you're on the opposite
sun's
end of
in
the
your
scoreboard.
eyes here and gives up something. I mean,
And they play close
Yeah.
games. They've had some walk-offs. They had some one-run games, two-run games. Just the other day with the game that they eventually won like 18-2, it was like 2-0 at one point.
Right.
The Pilots.
Yeah,
it's
it's absolutely insane. Okay, we have another interview, a little 2-for-1 special for our viewers today. But before we do that, I think that is an appropriate time to do our sock check.
Okay.
So let's go.
All right.
You go first.
I'll go with
Yeah.
Vegeta-sama.
Love that one.
For those that are just listening, it is Vegeta, blue socks with a little gold, and then the King of Saiyans.
I hate that
the
your
Prince of all
Vegeta socks
Saiyans.
are better than mine. I got to get new ones. For me, it's quite easy. I got the Haughton Bucks.
All right.
Go Bucks.
Okay.
Little Buccaneer action going on right there. And the reason that I have that is because that's our next guest, Haughton head coach Matthew Sewell. Spring football is getting underway for high schools across the area, but also Sewell and the Bucks got a very special donation from one of their own, Dak Prescott. So let's get to our interview with Sewell, and then we'll close it up after this. We welcome in another special guest here to the Benchwarmers. Sitting the bench with us, a guy who's on the sidelines all the time. It's Matthew Sewell, head coach of Haughton. Matthew, so happy to have you on the show. And I want to start by giving myself a little pat on the back.
Yeah.
It only took 4 episodes for me to get a Haughton guy on. So I felt like we held off for a while.
Good restraint.
Man,
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I'm disappointed it wasn't earlier.
Well, I mean, look, I catch enough flack when it comes to that. So we had to do a little buffer period. But here we go.
Everybody knows you bleed Buccaneer red.
That's it, baby. Everyone knows that. But you're out there at practice right now as we're talking on this Thursday. And, Coach, I guess we could start with practice. You're getting ready to start spring ball here in a couple of weeks. How's everything looking with you guys?
Yeah, everything's been great. Just out here, just getting a little football work in today and kind of getting towards the end of our spring portion of our off season. We kind of break it up into some different points, and this is kind of the part of it where we start to do more football stuff in preparation for spring football, which we're starting on May 5th. So we got today and tomorrow of this, and then next week we'll kind of do some more maxes and do a little thing we call the Buccaneer Challenge that'll take up all 5 days next week, which is pretty cool. And after that, it'll be spring ball, man. And then our last day of spring ball is the last day of school. So we're kind of wrapping things up here in the spring pretty quick.
Yeah, so it's April right now. How impactful is this time of year when you roll around to August and into September?
Yeah, it's one of those things that can be really helpful for you, but you can't put too much stock into it in good ways and bad ways. You can't get too upset about it, and you can't get too excited about it because it's April. We don't play football games till September, so we don't even have all of our players out here. We got some baseball guys and guys that have been doing a lot of track stuff, district track meets actually today. So, it's good because there's a lot of development that can happen. But like I said, you got to take everything with a grain of salt and just kind of keep improving every day.
I may be showing my bias here, but is spring football the 7-on-7 of what football actually is, 11-on-11 once you get to the fall? Like, is that kind of a good equivalent?
It's actually a little bit different. We do a lot. We actually get to do a lot of 7-on-7. Kind of this time of the year in April. Most teams are kind of out doing some 7-on-7 stuff. The rules kind of allow us to do that. So spring football is actually, of the things we do in the off season, is the most like regular football, because we get to put the pads on for 10 days and we'll scrimmage ourselves and we'll have people here and then we'll play Haynesville in a game. So it's actually kind of more like actual football season than anything else. It's just obviously super abbreviated down to 10 days. So it's kind of fun to kind of get the juices going again for a little bit and get those competitive things going.
Could you explain the Buccaneer Challenge to our listeners and what that entails?
Man, it would take a serious computer program to break down this entire thing that Coach Onisha has on this Buccaneer Challenge. We do a lot of different things on it. It's pretty cool. We've been doing it for a long time. They've actually been doing it. I found a shirt or a picture of Coach Haney wearing a shirt the other day that said Buccaneer Challenge on it, and I showed it to him. He had a cell phone on like a holster. It looked like some kind of a flip phone. I said, Coach, how old is this thing? He goes, Coach, I've been here a long time.
Yep.
So the Buccaneer Challenge has been around a while, but we incorporate a lot of things into it. We do our 3 big major lifts: bench, squat, and deadlift. We do some competition stuff out on the track, and we actually print off a sample Wonderlic test for them, like they take in NFL preparation for the NFL draft. So we kind of mix a lot of different things into it: some weight room stuff, some track stuff, and a little intellect for some of them. Try to give everybody a little something that they can excel at in that.
Okay, Daniel. Well, he hasn't agreed to this yet, but we want to do that Wonderlic test. So we'll get you back on during the Buccaneer Challenge. We'll do a quick segment. We'll take the test, and you can grade us. How's that sound?
Come on. I'm pretty sure. Now look, I don't want to brag or anything, but I'm pretty sure my brother holds the Buccaneer Challenge record. For
All right.
For the Wonderlic test. Maybe Coach. I think Coach Onish's son broke it last year.
Wow. So. Okay. Well, we won't break any records, but I'd like to try.
I can add and subtract. That's about it. Division and multiplication have gone away.
Had access to the key or something. That's
right. Yeah. You know those Onishas. Yeah. You know, what are you gonna do? You mentioned Coach Haney and you know how long he's been there, and obviously you grew up there, and so many coaches that we've talked about this before. You know, in different stories, but just that Haughton mentality. Why is the place so special, and why does no one seem to want to leave?
Yeah, it's hard to explain really unless you kind of get out here and feel it yourself, you know. And of course, you know what it's like out here, being from here. I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's a special place for sure. You know, there's a lot of challenges that you face coaching today's kids and all the things that they have access to and all the things they're involved in, you know, and so it can be hard coaching them sometimes, but but at Haughton, it's like, it's never a hard day to go to work. The people we work with are awesome. The kids that we coach are awesome. Everybody here, they care a lot about our community and what Haughton High School means to it. And so everybody wants to make a contribution to it because people that have come before us, have been here for so long and have made it such a special place to be. And so the H on the helmet and on it just means a lot to our coaches and kids. And I think that's evident by how long people stick around. People stick around out here, and it's not a lot of people leave. So it's hard to explain, but if I went down the list of every single person that's been here for this many years, man, we'd be here talking all day. So I mean, we're talking about a school that's been playing baseball since 1973. We've only had 3 baseball coaches, and we've only had 8 football coaches in the last 80 years. So there's only been 2 principals here my entire life. So a lot of continuity is not a problem here for sure.
So the fact that you've been there for a while, you know the history of Haughton. What's been your favorite rivalry? Kind of putting you on the spot here between your years, between the various rivalries that Haughton has had in Bossier Parish and beyond in the Caddo as well.
Yeah, the thing about the rivalries, which is crazy, the landscape of high school football around here has changed so much over the last. You can go back as far as you want to. We were in 3A for a long time, then we moved up to 4A. We've been in 5A since 2011. So those rivalries have kind of changed, over the years. Forever and ever, the biggest rivalry in Haughton was Haughton and Minden. Well, we haven't even played since like 2017, I don't think. So that was really a huge one when I was growing up. And Parkway was always a big game too. But, I don't know. Some of those Parkway games back in 2010, of course, with Dak and Colby Copeland was a great one. There's just been various ones, from the teams that we've played. We've developed a nice little rivalry with Bird and Airline and Benton. So kind of hard to explain, really. Like I said, it just kind of changes over time. But I've enjoyed all of them for sure.
Daniel unknowingly set you up there. You mentioned Parkway. I'm going to ask, when can I take these dang Parkway hats off, Coach? I mean, it's been a while, and I got like 5 of them now.
Yeah, my last year at Parkway, we played them here, and they almost got us. Beat them 17-14 on a walk-off field goal, which pretty low-scoring game for today's standards. But I don't know. Hopefully the sooner the better on that one.
Yep.
And I wish I could give you a definitive answer on that, but hopefully the sooner the better for sure.
Well, I believe every year. I mean, Daniel can attest to it. I have a plan for when y'all win it every year, and we'll get there. I certainly believe. I did want to kind of circle back to what you mentioned about the people staying at Haughton, and the people contributing to Haughton. Obviously, everyone's seen the story by now, and Dak Prescott's generous donation to you guys. What exactly is that money going toward, and explain the upgrades that you guys are going to get thanks to Dak?
Yeah, so that money is earmarked for football only, so which is great for us,
right?
But it specifically went towards installing brand new flooring in the weight room, which a lot of people think our field house is new because it's so nice, but our field house is 17 years old, which
wow.
Means our weight equipment. It's been through a lot of football seasons, and it gets used every single day of the year, and so it's taken a lot of wear and tear. And we actually, Coach Brotherton, they kind of put a plan together to kind of try and, we were going to have to raise the money ourselves to buy some new weight equipment. It's kind of been in the works for 2 or 3 years, and Dak kind of came along when he got this big contract last year. And it's like, look, I want to help. What can I help with? And we said, look, we really want to do the new weight room. And he said, that's great. What else can we do? And like, don't want to ask for too much, but our scoreboard's pretty old too. And he said, done deal.
Wow.
And so we're going to get, you can see it right there. That's our current scoreboard. It's been in use since 2010. Of course, Alex, you probably remember our old scoreboard right before then was actually down on this end of the field.
Sure do.
But now we're going to replace this scoreboard, and we're getting brand new play clocks as well. It's going to be down here in the north end zone. Daktronics is putting in a video scoreboard that I've been told is going to be one of the biggest high school scoreboards in Louisiana. It's going to be a video scoreboard. The screen is going to be alone 47.5 foot by like 27.5 foot. It's going to be really nice.
So
but it's going to be down there.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Coach. The Haughton to Dallas Cowboys connection has to be strong right now. What would you say is the split of fan base between players and coaches of Saints and Cowboys fans as the two most popular fan bases here in the Arklatex?
I don't know. It's kind of like I talk about things going in cycles too. Like, when I was growing up, I felt like the Cowboys were everybody's favorite team, and then the Saints got the Saints went on a run for about 15 years, and I feel like there was more Saints fans. And now the Saints aren't very good, and I guess the Cowboys aren't great right now either. I personally love the Saints, and we have a couple of coaches on our staff that are huge Saints fans, but it's like everybody here is a Dak fan, and it's kind of hard to explain to people. They're like, how do you root for both of them? It's like, we freaking know Dak.
Right.
We love this guy, and so everybody in our office are. We root for the Cowboys for sure.
As you should. Dak's his family. Dak's literally family.
Yeah.
Grew up there.
We actually sometimes will schedule our Sunday meetings around it. We'll go, okay, we got to meet on Sunday. We got a game this week. Okay, the Cowboys play at 3:30. All right, let's make sure we meet at 11 so we can get all our stuff done and get home so we can go watch Dak. That's kind of crazy, but how many people have a quarterback that played for him as a player in the NFL?
Yeah, exactly. Not many at all. And to be the quarterback of America's team and everything is so awesome. And with all that in mind, what do you think it means to the kids on your roster that probably never have met Dak, maybe have run into him a time or two? But what do you think it means to them that he's so willing to give some money and make sure that they have a better high school football experience?
Yeah, it means the world to them, and they all look up to him. It's crazy. You just said it. They don't really know him. Right. And that's kind of hard for me to fathom because it's somebody that, between him and his brothers that I've known and been familiar with my entire life. And so it's really kind of hard to fathom somebody, not knowing him. Because to me, it feels like we were just in high school yesterday. But I was talking to somebody I went to school with today. And it's like, crap, that was like 16 years ago. It's been a long time. Yep. And so most of these kids were barely born when he was playing here. So I don't even know him. So it means so much to them, to have somebody like that come through here, and it makes them proud, and it makes them want to make their mark on Haughton High School just like he did.
You say 16 years. It was a little longer for me. I can't remember. What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 14.
Wow.
About, I guess, 11 years ago for me.
We got some years on you, Coach.
Yeah, we're old. Yikes. Okay, I guess that kind of would get to my next question is when you got the job at Haughton, how tired were you of hearing the phrase "the youngest coach"? Blah blah blah. Because we were all saying it over and over again.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I love you guys. I try not to, listen to say too much and all that. No, it's really cool, But to me, it's just my job,
Right.
So it is cool to hear that, and But I've always kind of been young, in this profession. I got hired, out of college when I was 20 years old, and I got a coordinator job kind of young, and so I've to me it's just work. It's
Right.
That's all it is to me. It's just my job, and I'm going to do the best I can. So I really don't even think about it like that, to tell you the truth.
And since you've been head coach, what's been your favorite part about that transition from being an assistant to leading this program, leading these young men to not only be better players, but to be better young men as they head for their futures?
Yeah, the coolest part of it is, we've already kind of touched on this, is just this community and what it means, to me, and to have a job. This job is something that I've dreamed of my entire life, and so to kind of be able to live that out is so cool, and to get to be around these kids and these coaches every day, it's really cool. There's not a lot of jobs like that. There's downsides to our job. There's downsides to every job, but I truly don't know what's going to happen when I come to work every day. I have no idea, and dealing with high school kids, you never know.
Right.
And so being able to be around them and be around these coaches that are such good friends, and that our families are so close, being able to work in that environment every day, and to do it at Haughton, it's so cool, and it's so much more than football, for me.
Yeah, totally. And did you feel any, or do you feel any pressure? I mean, I know when I was, obviously you mentioned how few head coaches this program has had. To be one of those guys, but to also be a guy that I felt like it was kind of known for a while that maybe you were that next in line. I mean, I had grown men telling me when you were still in college, this Matthew Sewell kid, he's a whiz kid, he's going to be something, this is the guy. Do you feel any pressure that comes with this job?
I mean, there's definitely, pressures to it, but, to me, I just kind of focus on enjoying every single day, and doing the work, and all that stuff kind of goes, it doesn't go away, but, just kind of trying to focus on doing the job every day, where you don't think about it as much. And so you definitely think about it some, and there is pressure, but the pressure is a privilege for sure. And to me, pressure just means that you're in a good situation, and that, it means something to you, and it means something to the people that are around you if you're in a situation where there's pressure, and so to be a part of something that means something is really cool, no matter, how tough it is or how much pressure there is. And you think about it all the time, but, like I said, it's a privilege to have pressure. Like I said, it means you're doing something that's important.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we got one more question, then we're going to do a little rapid fire, and then we'll get you back to practice. The question I got, I want to test your coaching ability here. I'm going to give you maybe your toughest assignment yet. You get two freshmen get to campus. They really want to play for the Bucks. Their names are Alex Anderson and Daniel Brown. Where do you put us? What position do you think suits us best?
Man, I've heard those two guys are blue chip prospects. Is what I've heard. I tell you what I'll do with that Anderson kid is I would call Scott Musket and see what we had to do about getting started hockey teams.
He's good.
That's what I would do for sure. And surely Daniel, maybe we could put him on the wing or something like that.
Yeah.
No, I mean I don't know, guys. I mean, what would you guys want to play?
So I'm on the shorter side of life, and okay, I'm embrace it. I'm 5'7" on a good day, 5'6" most days. I have leverage. I don't know where you could put me. Maybe defensive tackle, maybe run stopper, plug and play. I was a long snapper when I played high school football, so I don't know if you got any spots there.
I long snap too, man.
Yeah, so it's not a lost art, but it's a very important art, because when you don't have a long snapper, things can go awry. But
you can lose the game on a bad long snap real quick.
Yeah.
Well, I got hands for days, obviously being a goalie my whole life, so I would say wide receiver, but I mean, I'd probably be the slowest guy out there, so I don't know. It'd put me in a tough spot.
Hey, look, being slow is not a problem. Coach Taylor's just going to have to get you open, man.
All right.
That's a coaching thing.
Okay. All right. See, we're working it out. All right. I know Daniel wants to do the rapid fire.
So, yeah, just a rapid fire, because it's not all just football for you. It can't be. You got family and everything, and, and all that. But you also have some downtime. What are you doing to maybe relax that it brings you a little bit of relief outside of the stress and the joys of football as well? But what are you doing to relax?
Man, I have a daughter that's a 2-year-old that I adore and love more than anything. And so I try to spend as much time with her as possible. She has made my she's the best. And so I've really enjoyed being a dad the last 2 years. And so that's kind of the number one thing that I do. Outside of that, I love golf. I'm not really a good golfer, but I love to watch pro golf. That's probably the number one thing that I do week in and week out to kind of relax. I'm a huge McIlroy fan, and all my friends know that. They know the last couple of years have been hard for me. So getting that win at the Masters a couple of weeks ago, that was awesome. I feel like I was more stressed about that than he was. So yeah, that's what I like to do right there.
So you take me to my next question about your golf game. I'm also not that great of a golfer. I'm not going to compare myself to you because I'm happy to break 100 at this point. What are you shooting these days?
Me too, Daniel.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so we're in the same boat there. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, what are we watching, man? What's the go-to Matthew Sewell show on Netflix or whatever?
Man, I haven't really dove into anything lately. My go-to, if I just have to have something to turn on and watch, is always Seinfeld. Seinfeld's always a go-to, and every time I say I'm going to start a new show, I always end up just watching Game of Thrones again.
Both correct answers in my book. Okay, I got one more.
Yeah.
Do you play college football 25? And if you do you throw 5 picks a game like I do?
Man, I don't. I grew up playing that game and just living and dying on the release date. Every July, my uncle would get it for my birthday. And, back then it was hard to even find out because, we had internet, but, crap. You had to wait till my mom or dad got home with a laptop and go get on there and see, when's the release date? Okay, it's coming out this day. And then that morning I would wake up and I would walk outside of my front porch and my uncle would have it in a Walmart sack for me. He bought it for me every year for my birthday. And so I grew up just playing that game. And, man, in college – we were in the 2030s and 2040s, and we played 25 or 30 seasons of that thing. We would just play until one of us fell asleep and the other one would take over, and it was just a continuous cycle all throughout college. So I have logged many years on that game. I would pull it out on my PS3 from time to time over the last 10 years playing that last version of the last game. So to answer your question, I don't have a PS5, so I don't have the current one. But I have logged many years of my life, I feel like, playing that game.
Yeah, it's one of the best. And you mentioned the internet struggle in Haughton. A lot of people don't understand what it used to be like. I was down on Bellevue Road my whole life. Dial-up was the best easily I could get. It was tough out there for years. We didn't experience high-speed internet for 10 years after everyone else did.
Oh, the dial-up sound is a nightmare that just lives in my head that these kids will never know about.
So I'll take you back to Game of Thrones real quick, just because I love Game of Thrones as well.
I'm an expert on it, Daniel. That's my go-to right there.
Okay, so favorite character on Game of Thrones, and what were your thoughts on the way the episodic episodes wrapped up on HBO for the original run series?
Yeah, my favorite character. Golly, there are so many good ones. I don't want to be basic, but I love Tyrion. Of course, I love Varys. The guy just knew everything. And I definitely loved Varys. I'll tell you who my favorite is. Tywin Lannister. I loved Tywin Lannister. Yeah. I thought he was an awesome character.
He was a great character.
Yeah.
Tyrion's dad, and I just always go back to those earlier seasons and just watch him, and just anytime he was on screen, it's just man, this guy has got it going on. So, his guy, he's the real deal. So I don't know about his kids running Westeros, but Tywin could definitely do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but I loved Game of Thrones.
Yeah, so I don't know if you'd be House Targaryen with the Haughton red, but if you had to be up in any house, are you Stark or what are we? The lineage, where are we coming from?
You're going to love this. I play a ton of fantasy sports out here with all these guys. And, we do golf and baseball and football, everything. And my fantasy team for everything that I do is House Stark.
Yes, there you
for
go.
For about the last 10 years, I've been House Stark in everything. So
can't go wrong.
So yeah, I'm definitely House Stark.
We love that. I have 3 Huskies, so my wife thinks that we have dire wolves, and so we have to go with that as well. So
Yeah.
we love that. Coach, unless you got anything for us, I think we're ready to wrap this up.
Yeah, and I didn't answer your question. Not a huge fan of the way it ended.
Okay.
Yeah, but
there we go.
I blame that on George Martin for taking so long to write that last book.
We're still waiting on when's the winner. So
Yeah.
No source material to go off of. I mean,
That's tough.
I'm gonna blame DB Weiss and the showrunners because they were focusing on another show and we could have another 30-minute conversation on Game of Thrones alone. We'll have to do that in the future.
And look, if KTBS keeps going down this route, we're going to probably have a Game of Thrones podcast too. So then we'll get there.
I actually, Alex, I actually read the books. I'm actually reading the second book
He's
right
in it.
now.
Well, I told you, he's a smart guy. Everyone's been telling me that like my entire life. So there you go. We love it. Well, Matthew, we got to do this again. Hit us up for that Wonderlic. We want to take that test, and we'll have you back on to give us some grades.
Yeah, for sure. Send me a text and remind me, and we'll get that to you guys next week. I love that.
Will do. All right, Matthew Sewell, head coach of Haughton. Thanks for hanging out with the Benchwarmers, man. All right, that was Matthew Sewell, great guy. I always forget, I know we kind of joked about it, but I do forget how young he really is. I mean, when he said that year he graduated, I was like, whoa.
I'm willing to give out the year I graduated high school, 2008.
Okay, see, I'm older than you. I was 2007, so there you go.
So yeah, man, we're some old heads.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. And we were actually just having this conversation.
Like when kids call us sir now.
Yeah,
so
it's like
weird. And I got the grays going on the beard,
yeah,
no beard
me too.
top, so it just
the beard
is
going to take a little bit to come back. But we were talking about this off air a little bit, but I mean, we have worked here.
Yeah.
Like this was both, like you had another job, a previous station, right? But it was still early in your career you came here.
Yeah.
So we started here as kids and I still like feel like I'm the same. Like so much time has passed, but it doesn't feel like it.
Age is a mindset.
Right.
I think our generation will be more like accepting of, like, we grew up on video games. We grew up, this isn't a tower. We grew up on PlayStations and
we were like
Super
the test
Nintendo
subjects
and all
for
that.
that kind of stuff.
So it's like, just because I'm older doesn't mean I'm gonna stop playing video games. Just because I'm older doesn't mean I'm gonna stop watching anime.
Yeah.
Like I see the guys in there, like the old guys in the anime stores and at conventions. I'm probably gonna be that old guy at the anime convention that's just like, hey man, this stuff's awesome.
You know who plays more video games than Alex Anderson?
Kim Anderson?
David Anderson.
David
My
Anderson.
dad's still going.
Yeah.
So that was my weekly Dave mention. Shout out, Dad, who actually watches this show, as we've learned. He's a big Daniel fan.
What's up, Dave?
He just found out about Daniel, so we're excited for him. So we love that.
Thanks for listening, Dave.
Couple things. No Matt's Minute this week, but he did give us his sock check. Plain Hanes white socks. He says they don't make any fancy socks in size 15. So I think maybe that was him just trying to flex that he has big feet.
I was gonna say, like, size 15 feet, you got something going right for you.
Yeah, good for him. That's what we need to do. We need to get a sock sponsorship.
Yeah.
That way we can get some size 15 wacky socks for Matt so he can feel included. So we're sorry about that, Matt. T.O., I got a little something. You know what's funny?
This isn't a timeout. This is a ticked off or a timeout?
It's a timeout. Let's call a timeout
Okay.
to bring. And I was gonna complain about the reception. It was going to be a ticked off. I was going to complain about the reception of the first couple episodes of Andor season 1, but I didn't want to spoil anything, so I've switched course. Timeout for our listeners and our viewers, and this is going to sound so shocking coming from me, but if you're not watching the Stanley Cup Playoffs, what in the world are you doing? I mean, it is impeccable stuff, night in and night out. The first round is always such a blast. We got the Battle of Ontario going on right now. The Maple Leafs are 1-12 in closeout games. Will they blow the 3-0 lead? I don't know, but it'll be like a soap opera for me to watch. I can't wait for that. The Battle of Florida going on right now, Tampa Bay and Florida. Washington and Montreal, if anyone watched that game over the weekend, unbelievable atmosphere. It is, to me, what sports is all about, is the hockey playoffs. Yeah. And now I should also mention, the NBA playoffs have been very fun. A couple dud series, you're going to get that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
the Cavs and Heat series hadn't been great.
Cavs and Heat and Thunder.
But the Pistons and Knicks, they've
awesome.
had something contentious in like every game.
Yeah, Clippers Nuggets is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, the buzzer beater from Aaron Gordon the other night.
Right.
I mean, this is a good time in the sports calendar.
Yeah.
You see football end, and then you get through the Masters, and you're like, what are we doing? No, it goes football, March Madness, Masters, NBA, NHL, and then it's bad. So we're still in the good time right now. And as the playoffs go on, it gets less and less, but we get a game every night.
Yeah.
Multiple games every night.
And this is, to kind of add on to Alex's point, I am not watching the NHL playoffs as much as I should the Stanley Cup playoffs,
Yeah.
just to get it right, because I'm, as a weekend worker, you know, I can take 15 seconds here, and I got to start typing scripts, and I got to edit video. Thankfully for YouTube TV, I have been able to kind of have the phone up a little bit. But yes, if you have the time, please watch these sports. They're awesome. Take advantage of those opportunities. And I absorb the hockey world through Alex, so I appreciate him for giving me stuff to, hey, pay attention to this, pay attention to that, and go watch that highlight.
And a lot of times I'm just talking, like thinking out loud at my desk, and I hope that someone's paying attention because, look, I'm gonna stand on the rooftops and I'm gonna beat my drum for hockey for the rest of my life because it's incredible. Stanley Cup playoffs, nothing like it. Let's get the Sabres in there. Maybe Tre'Davious will save us. I don't know. Yeah.
So I'm not ticked off or don't need a timeout or anything right now. It's been a good week. You know, did some big boy things this week. That'll come out in due time. But yeah, life's good right now. Yeah. On the Benchwarmers, dude.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I'm playing the marathon closed alpha test right now. I'm loving it. Shout out to my folks at Bungie. Played with the community manager somehow, Cosmo. So we know he's checking us out from Seattle. So shout out Cosmo. Thanks for the run. Outside of that, everything's good. I need a new air conditioner. We're not going to talk about that at the house. But
you know what's going to make everybody feel better? Watching some LSUS Pilots baseball.
Yes.
And, you know, shout out to them, what they've got going on this week, and hopefully the next couple of weeks, a little bit more of that Brad Neffendorf interview. We'll have bits and pieces of it. But their season, it all ends in Idaho in May. Hopefully they are there for that.
Yep.
And we'll be covering the Pilots on their way to hopefully another trip to the NAIA World Series.
And shout out to the LSUS Pilots for providing us with so much incredible content in a time of year where we're struggling to find it. So, Neffendorf, you're the man. So there we go. I think that was a great episode. We had 2 interviews. Daniel soloed 1, so thank you for that. And we'll get Matt back on next week. The genius takes a little bit to refresh after whatever that was last week. Did someone just knock at the door?
I don't know, but I think is that our time to wrap? Probably.
Oh, okay, hold on. I think Sydney wants to spoil the party. Okay, here we go. She's going to throw me a ball.
I was trying to be secretive.
I'm going to knock on the door and be secretive. Come on. We're saying goodbye, so just come on, wave to everybody.
Sydney Lane is here. Say hey, Sydney. I don't know if you can.
Since we had Sewell on,
Go Bucks.
We wanted to make it a Haughton episode.
There we go.
Sydney Lane is here.
Sydney Lane Carter.
Thank you for checking out the Benchwarmers.
I'm going to put my mic back
She
in
saved
my
us
shirt.
from rambling because we were starting to go on a tangent there. But we'll see you next week. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody.